I live alone in a small house near the old cafe, so my phone practically stays glued to my hands these days. I can't think of my life without social media now. A day without my phone is like hell to me. It really feels great when my friends comment about how good the picture is, or ask about where I bought the new dress from. But social media has its own dark side too. You won't believe how many times I get those overly sexual comments about my looks. Random guys keep sending me DMs, asking me out, or saying weird things like asking my age or address. It used to make me really uncomfortable, but I'm used to it now. I mostly ignore them and just stick with my friends all the time. Sometimes I just wish we could enjoy Instagram without all the unwanted attention. But life isn't all black and white. It all began a few weeks prior. I woke up and held my phone in my hand. I looked at the time and then I opened the Instagram on the phone. I couldn't open my account. It was strange. I just closed the app before going to sleep last night, so it shouldn't be possible to open my account now. I usually consider myself an average girl just enjoying the platform for getting to know my friends more. So why was something like that happening to me? At first I thought I may have reset the app or something, so I tried to log into the account using my password. But no, I received a message saying the password I had typed was incorrect. I entered my password again, but it still didn't work. I was frustrated. I repeatedly entered the password several times, but nothing worked. I realized something was wrong. The account was available last night. I immediately called my friend Lana. I told her everything about how I couldn't log into my account anymore. She searched my account on her phone. She said the account was still visible, but the profile picture was changed with a skull. She then went into details, saying there were some recent posts featuring random women wearing swimsuits and bikinis. I finally realized it. Someone hacked my account, and now he was using my profile and posting inappropriate posts. The thought of somebody doing these stupid things using my own account made my skin crawl. I was mortified. A few days passed and I had to deal with explaining to my friends about how I couldn't access my account anymore after they saw those random posts. The situation was deeply embarrassing. I reported the issue to Instagram's support team, but haven't received any response since then. I created a new account just to check on the account. The account posted several inappropriate pictures every single while. I would feel uneasy after seeing them. I asked all my friends to report the account to shut it down for good, and eventually, after a few weeks, it was suspended as a result. I was finally relieved. I thought the whole thing had ended, and I would not have to deal with this anymore. A few days had passed, and one night I was busy doing some laundry at my house. It was then I suddenly started getting thousands of text messages on my phone. I was startled at first. There were random guys expressing their concerns for me. Some of them were intrusive and wanted to know my address. It was really shocking. I had never met these people, and yet they claimed to know me from the posts. The situation didn't seem real. It was fabricated. I knew it was him, the person who hacked my account before. I quickly opened Instagram and changed the password. I felt really apprehensive about leaving my house. I didn't even have the will to answer when the phone rang. It felt like I was under constant surveillance. I searched for the account again. I was hoping not to find it again, but to my shock, I saw something even more creepy. There were so many posts containing my pictures. They weren't just pictures. They were shots taken when I was visiting my friends, meeting my parents, and some of the places I usually visited. I was panicking. Someone was following me everywhere, and I didn't know it. It was just then I received a text from an unknown number. This message caused me to experience an unexpected surge of fear. I was terrified. I called 911 and told them everything. After hearing everything, the operator said there isn't much she can do right then, and they would gather some more information and look into the matter. I couldn't catch my breath. I stayed with my friend for some time and didn't return to my apartment for a week. The account didn't post anything since that day, and I didn't receive any text messages either. A few days later, I couldn't find the account. It was gone. It's been 3 years, but I still can't shake the feeling that someone is always watching me, observing my every single movement. I am constantly on alert. checking the locks and always looking at the windows. I do not feel safe. It's been a few years since this happened, a night that haunted me for a long time. I used to be an Uber driver back then, so my evenings were typically occupied with routine pickups and drop-offs. I used to love visiting new places before I started to work as a driver, but now it's just like another job for me. That night, the pickup destination originated from a downtown bar. The bar was a frequent spot for my late-night pickup requests. When I arrived at the place, a male passenger entered my vehicle. The guy looked decent. He was middle-aged, probably older. I assumed him to be in his late 40s or early 50s. He wore a slightly worn black suit, but it was fine. The guy then sat in the back seat. I greeted him saying, "Hello, sir," but he didn't respond. He just arrogantly instructed me to start the engine and drive to the destination. I nodded and started the engine, telling him to make himself comfortable. The whole ride was dead silent, the silence punctuated only by the soft purr of the engine. The man maintained a consistent gaze at the window during the ride. His eyes darted in a manner that almost felt like he was looking for something. As I was driving the car, I kept an eye at him from time to time. One time, while I was peeking at him through the mirror, his eyes met mine, and he started to stare at me. I quickly shifted my gaze into the road. That was creepy. After some time, I looked in a mirror just to see how he was doing, but I didn't see anything. The back seat was empty and the man wasn't there. I slammed on the brakes, stopping the car as fast as I could. I was about to turn back and see if he was really gone, but then I heard someone behind me. You shouldn't look behind while driving. It was unbelievable. I couldn't tell what exactly happened. The guy was a real weirdo. After that, I didn't look back and drove straight to the location. It was a modest two-story residence with minimal lighting. The man exited the vehicle and started to stare at the house, but he didn't enter the house. He just stood there dead silent. I didn't know if it was his house or he went there for something else, but I didn't want to be anywhere close to that weirdo anymore. So I just slammed the gas and headed straight home. I kept thinking about the situation after I went inside my apartment, thinking how much of a weirdo that guy was. I was exhausted after a full day's work, so I just laid on the bed right after taking off my clothes. I was scrolling on Instagram, thinking about a new jacket I'd seen, but then slowly my eyes closed and I drifted off to sleep without realizing it. I was having a good sleep after all this. However, a few hours later, I suddenly woke up in the middle of the night. I didn't know what woke me up or if it was just me. I noticed I left my window open and the bathroom lights were still on. I was feeling a bit exhausted too, and my eyes were burning like hell. Frustrated, I turned on the lights and headed to the kitchen. I took a glass of water before going back to sleep again. But just then, after entering my bedroom, I was shocked at what I saw in front of me. There was a man standing within the threshold of my bedroom. He had a black mask on his face. The man had his eyes fixed on me. He was carrying something. There was a cloth towel on his right hand and a small bottle carrying some kind of black liquid on left. The room was filled with a very thick odor, and it was coming from him. I figured it was probably the liquid. I tried to talk to him, asking who he was and what he was doing at my house, but he didn't reply. He just stood there dead silent. The man advanced towards me. I was instantly on alert. He raised the towel, attempting to force it over my mouth. I pushed him to the bed and started running. I was panicking while I desperately searched for anything hard to use as a weapon. I took my phone from the table and called 911. As I was calling the cops, the sound of his footsteps echoed throughout the hallway. He was coming. I rushed to the front door, fumbling with the lock while carefully looking behind. I opened the front door and went down the stairs. He was relentlessly pounding on the door. I was trembling. I desperately waited for the cops. The knocks grew louder. He was going to tear the door from its hinges, but then the knocks ended. The place went absolutely silent. I couldn't bring myself to open the door and face him, so I waited for the cops to arrive. The cops opened the door after I told them everything. They pointed their guns and searched the entire place, but he was gone. They didn't find anything. I stayed with my parents for a few days. I couldn't enter the room without thinking about what happened there. My parents told me to leave the place and stay with them. I didn't know if the guy from the club was the intruder, but he was the only one I could put my fingers on. Nothing like that has ever happened to me since then, but I still can't shake the feeling that something might happen again.